Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the movie review. So I am continuing with the rewatching of the Paranormal Activity movie series, and in my collection I do have the first three. So this one is Paranormal Activity 3, which is the earliest sequel. You see Katie and Christy as young kids, Katie being the elder, which I thought was really funny. I think age-wise Katie Featherstone is actually younger. I don't know, but kind of looked like me that it's Graydon just seems to be the older sister. But in the film, it's actually reversed. Katie is the older one, and Christy is the one who's got a kid, married and has a baby boy. Anyway, so Paranormal Activity 3 was done in 2011, directed by Henry Joost. I don't know how you pronounce it. Joost, and Ariel Schulman, and it is the first actually chronologically in the installment of the Paranormal Activity series. And so it's at a prequel set 18 years before the events of the first two movies. So again, this movie made 207 million. And to be honest, the first time that I watched this movie, I think I liked this one the best at that point. This time around, not that much. But mainly because the fact, again, it's two young girls in it. So, I think my dad instincts were coming out, even though I'm not a dad that I know of. But anyway, I did like that fact that, you had these two kids. But of course, I'm always scared when I always feel scared of the fact that when kids are going to get hurt. Just like, in a horror movie, please don't hurt the kids. Don't hurt the dogs. Don't hurt the kids. But yeah, kill the people if you want. The grown-ups. Anyway, these two girls do get hurt a little bit in this movie, but not as much as the dad and mom get. So this movie starts off back in 2005 when Katie delivers a box of old videotapes to her sister Christy, who was that time just pregnant, and she gave it to Christy and Daniel. And a year later is when the house is ransacked, and they only stole these videotapes. Okay. So we come to later find out who the people who actually did this. So this is set in 1988. The rest of the movie, it's a young Katie and Christy. I don't really know how old they are, but I'm guessing around. I think Christy is around maybe 6 or 7 years old, and Katie is just a couple of years more older. They live in a house with their mother Julie, and she is. Her boyfriend Dennis, it's not the father is not in the picture, and Dennis is kind of the mom Julie is kind of financing the boyfriend Dennis, because he is trying to set up his business of movie editing and stuff. He's got an assistant as well, but they don't seem to be making that much money, and I kind of got the feeling that the assistant is kind of doing it for maybe he's a film student and he's trying to get credits and some experience before he goes on to something bigger and starts getting money to pay his bills and stuff. So all things start happening when young Christy starts getting this imaginary friend. She calls him Toby, and then strange things are happening in the house. Dennis starts putting the old style cameras around the house. The girls' room is not really a full room. It's when they go upstairs, there's no door. It's kind of like a loft area, but it's a very nice loft area. And the girls are sleeping in two separate beds. There is a sorry about that. Yeah, I actually got a little bit of a jolt. That's actually Facebook alert on my laptop. Excuse me. There is a small door that leads to a storage kind of area where they kind of think that Toby's kind of affected inside. He's kind of inside. They are interrupted by earthquakes. There's a lot of things that goes wrong, and you see dust falling from the ceiling, but it seems to be falling onto a figure. It doesn't really fall straight down, so that's really weird. I thought that was a good effect, to be honest, even though it's found footage, to be honest. So his friend Randy, and Dennis's friend Randy, and then they set up all the cameras. They also did something cool. He takes apart Julie's rotating pedestal fan, and he puts the camera on top of it instead of the fan, so it shoots this side and then shoots that side. I thought that was really neat. There's things where Toby seems to be having certain preferences, and it seems like Christy is actually acting out, but it's actually that she's scared to say no to Toby for certain things. There's a scene where I really like that scene where Randy is kind of babysitting her when Christy wasn't well and they had to take her to the hospital, and so they're playing, and then things start happening. They play. Before that, the girls actually do try and play Bloody Mary in the bathroom, and then this is the second time when they do Bloody Mary with Randy and Christy. Things start happening. Randy is attacked. They see furniture, the girls' furniture toppling over. Those are really good effects. I really like that stuff, and scares the both of them. And they find a symbol that the stuff that they find is that when they find a symbol, it's like a witch's coven that has brainwashed girls of childbearing age into having sons, and then forcing them to give up their sons. And then Julie doesn't really believe it, but the boyfriend Dennis seems to be starting to believe it. Towards the end of it, it even harms Katie. There's a scene where her hair is pulled up straight, and that was really a pretty cool scene to see. I mean, even though I don't think the girl was hurt in real life, the actress wasn't really hurt in later, but yeah, that scene was really, she kind of bumps into an invisible Toby, and that scene is pretty scary for a child. For me, not so much, but I did like that scene quite a bit. And after that, they after the attacks, they take the girls and head straight to the grandmother's house, which is Julie's mom, who lives in a place called Moore Park, California. I forgot where this is actually set. Doesn't say. I don't remember. Also, they say how they say it in the movie. So initially, they settle down and they are trying to go to bed at night. However, they find in the night they're awoken by loud disturbance. Julie goes to investigate. Dennis goes to look for it. He finds occult imagery on the walls in the symbol that he sees earlier, and they also this scene where towards the end where it looks like there's a figure in the shadows, a silhouette of a woman I seen back, and I'm not really sure what that exactly was. I was trying to look for what that is, the women are all surrounded. There are a lot of women from this coven that actually are surrounding the house, and they circle around a bonfire. They see Katie, who's crying near Julie. Julie's killed. The body is levitating and then thrown. And then when Dennis goes to approach Katie, when he touches her, she turns around and her face is demonic, and that scares him, and he's thrown to the other side of the room. His leg is injured, and then Lois comes, and then Dennis is trying to get up, but his body is contorted really badly, and he's broken. You can hear snaps, and he dies over there. Lois calls Christy and Katie, who are now back to normal, and she leads Katie upstairs. And Christy, in a really childlike, innocent way, when she comes up, she calls, "Come on, Toby," and then you can hear something, an invisible something walking up the stairs. And so, it's pretty clear as to what's happening. The grandmom is part of a cult now. They are planning to get a son to actually, set up for sacrifice. So, but because they both are girls, Julie is of no use, and so of course it's going to be one of the daughters who has a son, and that son is Hunter. So let's see how that actually pans out in the rest of it, but I'm not really sure when I'm going to start watching the rest. I don't think I'm going to buy them anytime pretty soon, so I'll look for something on a streaming service to rewatch these movies. Maybe Netflix got it or something else. I also signed up for premium on Sony Live for a year. Since the price is actually kind of cheap, I thought I'll sign up for that. So maybe they have it, but I definitely will try to rewatch it again. So that's ending these three movies. This one I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. Again, one of the things I see that all the men in the movie in this series seem to be douchebags. I mean, Danny not so much maybe, but yeah, this guy definitely is an idiot. He seems to be mooching off his girlfriend who got the 2 kids. So yeah, that's pretty much it. 7 out of 10, not bad. Then it kind of goes downhill from here. Anyway, so yeah, I'll catch you guys again pretty soon. But and sometime later I'll continue my rewatching for the Paranormal Activity series, and I'll do a review for all of them. So take care until then. Have a good night.